rest of this pipe and the system in general.
What solutions have you seen that have really promoted a long-term sustainability, or that have helped systems last longer?
Well, I do believe that if we can get the air out of wet systems by using air release valves, I think it's a great way to go. And I do believe the systems have always need to be checked on pitch, because structure under buildings change all the time. They're always installed properly, done by code, but over the years, things change, and it could change the pitch of the systems, where I think they need to be checked, especially in dry systems, because then it's holding water. That gets into the tripping part. If you're starting to trip these things, it's it's just causing a lot of internal problems that you don't need to have. But again, I think the nitrogen generators are really good for the dry systems.
Yeah,
that is the way to go.
Yeah, and the 3-year trip test is, I mean, that's a hot topic. I know I had talked about that with some people recently, and there's lots of different views, because the 3-year trip test is, we obviously want to make sure that the water is being displaced at a proper time to a fire.
Yeah.
But for dry systems, I mean, a dry system will never have corrosion if there's only air or only nitrogen in it. Like, you can show me, I can cap a pipe today, and there's just air in it. It's going to be good, right? Obviously, it's not a fire sprinkler system, but I think what I find interesting is, I believe that practice is leading to premature failures, because we're not getting all the water out of the system once it's tripped.
Sure.
I mean, we even recently did a project, and they had got approval to do a certain type of partial trip test, and from commissioning 45 years ago, they still had water in their system, and the guy said, "There's no water in my system," and we found water.
Wow.
And so it's one of those, like, their system didn't fail, but the areas that we found water and we started doing wall thickness checks, it was wall thinning at that point. It was thinning out, and so these trip tests, what that company did, they did a great job designing the system so they didn't have to, because I think they did like a double interlocking valve, so they had partially tripped, so water would never go back in there, because they said if you put water in a dry system, they fail. His was 45 years old, and Potter says, typically dry systems are being replaced from 8 to 12 years. Yeah. And so obviously, there's a lot of different thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But
this industry is a great industry, and I think that we have a lot of room to make it better. And I think there needs to be some really tight. Code is great, but we have to have processes and methodologies and procedures on every install, and they got to be checked and checked and checked. And I think we need to revisit how often we trip these dry systems. We also need to revisit and really examine the 5-year assessment. I believe the required 5-year assessment gives you enough data to make any kind of real conclusion on what's going on in that system.
Yeah.
I do believe if we go deeper into the systems and collect more data, I think it is a better way to make a much more concrete decision on the findings and an analysis on the data, which is then useful, right? Because I do believe that these systems should go 100 years. They really should be.
Yeah.
The problem is we're not taking care of them, and every day when I get up, it seems like I find a fire on LinkedIn being posted. Yeah. Somewhere there's a fire going on.
Yeah, well, I mean,
in the last facility we're in, there's a fire that morning.
Yesterday.
You got to be kidding! What happened there? Well, it was an elevator. You don't expect those things, right?
Yeah.
And thank goodness that they caught it early. The building was not sprinkled.
Yeah.
Now they're going to decommission that building, so there was no reason to sprinkle it. But now they got a fire there, right? Now thank goodness they put it out. Not a big deal. But again, it just goes to show you that we just need to look at our industry and take it up a few notches, because this is a great industry. We're here for fire life and safety, and we need to put our best foot forward always, and forget about the cost, because the cost goes out the door when you lose lives and property. Forget the cost. I mean, cost is you got to watch it, but you know what? people are making a lot of net profit in these big buildings. They got a lot of businesses are making a lot of net profit. That's all there is to it. And some of that you got to allocate towards building maintenance. You can't just do a 5-year once every 50 years or 20 years. That doesn't work, and that's what we see a lot of.
And we just saw Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago just pushed, hey, we are requiring
thank goodness.
all 5 years
Thank
on
goodness.
every building.
Yeah, there is a responsibility of building owners when they're making money off people in buildings that they need to keep these buildings compliant.
Yeah,
they really do. And they shouldn't have to have a governing body telling them what to do. They should do it on their own.
Yeah.
But they don't. So.
They don't.